It's day 4 of the Crochet Games, and today's event kicked off at the archery arena, where our crochet competitors gathered to determine what kind of challenge they would be undertaking.
Play the footage.
And here you can see our crochet competitor attempting to hit one of the numbers in the outer ring. What number she lands on will determine the kind of project she'll need to crochet. And it looks like we have a winner. 60 it is. And thus it was decided day 4's challenge would be finish a WIP. Let's see how that unfolded. Hello, it's a bit scary, isn't it? I didn't mean to press record then. I think most of my WIPs are over here. Okay, I've got a bag here. Yep. That's definitely a WIP bag. And then... oh, Raymond, I forgot about you. He's slightly naked at the moment. I might have to blur that out. And then there is this. But I'm pretty sure this was the bag that I wanted to, the stuff I wanted to frog. So I'm going to set that aside. There's definitely more WIPs, but I have a feeling that they, let me move the camera. They are in those squares behind all of this junk. So hopefully I can find what I need for this challenge in this bag here, so I don't have to go ahead and move all that stuff. I don't really want to do that. I remember it took me about 20 minutes to get it all stacked in there. Okay, let's go through the bag. First we have Raymond, who you've already seen, and really all I need to make for him are the clothes, because I'm pretty sure, I hope they're in this bag. Maybe not. I could have sworn I had a pair of like little plastic glasses, but they used to belong to my nephews when they were little. But yeah, I do have glasses somewhere, so I don't have to worry about making those. It's just the clothes, so that is a viable option. Put you there. You can go in the maybe pile. This one, I think there was arms too, yes. This was supposed to be part of like a series of egg-laying dinos that I did. I've made the egg-laying pterodactyl. You might see that occasionally hanging out in my background over there. I can't remember if this was supposed to be a triceratops or like a parasaur, because I was going to make both. But this one is actually finished except for the head and potentially the tail, but depending on what sort of dino I did, it may or may not need a prominent tail piece. But that again is a viable option. Then, oh man, this has been sitting in here for years. My Leafeon. Oh, I really want to get this finished. I just forget about it when it sits in the bag in the shelf over there. Oh. As much as I would like to choose this for my project, I think this is just going to be too big for this series I'm doing. I have fallen a little bit behind as of filming this. I ended up getting sick and just had some other stuff going on. So I lost about 2 weeks of time that was intended for filming and editing. I'm in a little bit of a rush at the moment, and I just don't think choosing a big project like this to finish off is going to make the situation better. But I've got 2 front legs. I'm pretty sure they were the front legs. And there is the second ear. So this dude really needs a pair of back legs and a tail, and obviously some assembly too. And I think that's just going to take a little bit too long for this series. That's disappointing, but yeah, I can't really push it any more than I already have. You know what I could do though, is potentially do a video in the future where I actually finish some of these WIPs. I did a video a while ago where I was going through them, but maybe it's time to actually finish the ones I want to finish. Oh, my little echidna. This might be a good project to finish because all I have to do is create the spines. I wanted to frog these ones I did because I wasn't really happy with them. But yeah, I could finish that because everything else is done. It just needs some spines. And that would mean I don't need to move all the junk over in the corner there to find myself another WIP. What do you reckon? Should we finish you off? I think it's about time. It's only been like, I don't know, 18 months, 2 years. Well, this might be a bit of a problem because I don't have any of that brown yarn left, because I know it definitely wasn't this brand of yarn. It was one of the really cheap and nasty skeins I got when I first started crocheting that I used to make the echidna. And I don't have any of that left. So we're just going to have to go with this brown and this yellow, I think. I don't know if the judges are going to like that. Different colours are permissible, but different brands, I don't think they're going to let that one slide. It's not really relevant to this project, but I just wanted to share with you all. I found the glasses. So this is what Raymond would look like with his glasses on. Alrighty, I have my yarn. Unfortunately, it's not the same kind of yarn that I used in the original project, but I don't have any of that left. As I was getting my yarn, I was thinking about how I wanted to make the spikes, and I think I'm actually going to leave these as they are. I was planning to frog them because I didn't really like them, but maybe I'll get the second camera up so you guys can actually see properly what I'm talking about here. Yeah, I wasn't really a fan of the gaps in between each of the spikes, nor how the spikes sort of stick up like that. The latter is a problem that's easily solved because I just need to put a stitch in the end of each spine to keep it flush against the body. But for the gap problem, what I'm considering doing is just leaving this as is, but then the second row of spines that I do, I will create those in between these spines of the first row. So if I join my yarn, say behind this first spine here, I could crochet across a couple of stitches, crochet the second spine here, crochet across underneath this second spine, crochet the third spine, oh no, that would be the second spine in this case, crochet the third spine in between these two. And that might look okay, because my other idea was just to crochet each of the spines individually and then sew them on. But that's a lot of sewing. If I crochet the spines directly onto the body, I think that'll make this whole process a lot easier. Less sewing, less ends to weave in, just so much easier all around. So I think that's what I'm going to do. If I don't like it, this is the prototype of my pattern, and oftentimes there are many things that I want to change once I've finished a prototype, so there's no reason that I can't do that in this case too. Now I did get out the yellow as well because I was thinking of adding sort of yellow tips to the spines, but I might just do that for the spines further back along the body. I'll keep it mostly brown at the front here and then slowly introduce the yellow, I think. I just want to see how that looks. All right, let's get to it. I've reached the point where I want to crochet the first spine, but I need to try and replicate what I've done here. So let's count how many stitches I've got on this chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think. So that means I need to chain 8. And then it looks like I've done 2 slip stitches, 2 single crochet, and then 3 half double crochet. I mean, that's what it looks like. I'm going to try that and then see how well it matches to the first set of spines. So I want to chain 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then, what did I say? 2 slip stitches. And then 2 single crochet. 1 and 2, and then 3 half double, I think. And 3. Now for the comparison, yeah, I mean, that's pretty similar. They're going to look a little bit different just because I believe this brown yarn that I used originally was a thicker weight, so that's definitely going to change the size a little bit, but for the most part, yeah, that looks fairly accurate. So I'm just going to continue on with that. I'll do this first set of spines, and I'm still not convinced that I want to crochet them directly onto the body. I think as much of a pain as it would be to sew multiple spines down and weave in all the ends, all that good stuff, I think it would give me more control over where I can place the spines. I'd be able to overlap them better, but I'm going to stick with this for now. Okay, well, I hated pretty much everything about that. There's that Crolympic spirit.
Love to see it.
I am struggling to get this hook into the body. I'm assuming when I made this, I used either a 3 or a 3.5 millimeter hook. And at the moment, that's too much on my hands using a smaller hook size. So I've been using the 4 and I struggled to get it in between the stitches. I keep grabbing hold of tufts of stuffing and they just keep pulling out of the body, and then they make it even more difficult to crochet across. On top of that, I really just don't like how this is looking. Even if I sew those down, stay down please. Yeah, that's about as close as I can get it. But I just don't like how it's looking. As I said, it's too, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's too, like, structured. That's not quite the word. But I want the spines to look a little bit more random, a bit more chaotic, and this ain't it. Rather than take out my work, I will leave these as is, but I think I'm actually going to go the route of crocheting individual spines and then sewing them down. I'm kind of in a which is worse situation. Is it worse to deal with all the nonsense that comes with crocheting across the body at this point, or is it worse to have multiple ends to weave in and lots of sewing to do? I don't know, but I've tried the first one and I did not like it, so I may as well give the second one a go. I'm still not going to frog these though. I can, now that I have them, I can place spines that I crochet, individually in between the ones I've already made, so that should make them appear a little less, I still can't think of the word that I want to use. Well, luckily she's not being judged on her vocabulary, but structured is the one that comes to mind. Now I need to make a whole bunch of individual spines, and rather than use the 4 millimeter hook, I think I'm going to try and bump that up to a 5. I just want to see what that looks like. If I think it's too big and it causes like the stitches to gape a little bit, I can just bump that back down again. No big deal. We're doing lots of experimenting with this little echidna. Okay, spine time. Well, I've made 30 spines at this point. They are entirely in brown, and that is so many ends to weave in, and I'm not even finished yet. But what I'm thinking at this point is I will attach what I have. I will see how far down the body that gets me, and then I think I'm going to start crocheting some spines, but I'll introduce some yellow at the tip here. Yeah, I'll just attach what I have and then see what I'm working with once that's done. I've got a decent number of the fully brown spines now, and I'm going to make several of the spines with yellow tips. I don't have too much space left to work with, but that's okay because I don't want an overwhelming number of these yellow tip spines anyway, and I might even throw in a couple throughout the rest of the spines anyway, just break that up a little bit. And after that will come the fun job of sewing all of these down. I could use glue instead, that would be a lot quicker, but that might be a lot messier too. I'm actually going to use a different brown for these other spikes I'm going to crochet, just because I want to see what it looks like with a mixture of the different browns, because I've already got that, seeing as the first round was crocheted in a completely different yarn anyway. But yeah, I'll give that a go. I decided to mix things up a little bit. I went with my original idea and did some of this lighter brown with yellow, but then I did some of the original brown, well, not the original brown, the original brown I used this time. I did that with the yellow, and then I just went ahead and made some straight up plain yellow spines. So I'm probably going to scatter those throughout what I've already got, just to sort of like break up the monotony a little bit. It looks a little bit too samey at the moment. It's done! Finally! I have weaved in so many ends. But I think it was worth it because despite it looking a little bit disheveled at the moment, I kind of like how it's turned out. I'm glad I went with the different coloured spines. They've got a couple of I probably didn't use the correct shade of brown with this spine here, but it adds to the overall effect. Yeah, I like it. Could have gone with a different shade, but you know, not too bad, not too bad. All that remains to do now is to stick down these spines. I am kind of liking the disheveled look, like I said, but I think it's just a little bit too disheveled. I want to tame it a little bit, at least for the front. Whoops. At least for the front spines here. And I know before I was debating whether or not I should sew these ends down or glue them down. And while those two are still options, I think what I'm going to try is this. I have this, it's a stiffening spray. I've used it a couple of times and I don't know if it will help with like this situation I've got going here. But all I can do is really try it, and if it doesn't work out, doesn't keep the spines flat like I'm hoping it will, then I can always come back and either sew or glue them then. My little friend here kind of looks like she's covered in rainbow sprinkles at the moment, but that is all done. Now, I'm not entirely sure how long this is going to take or is supposed to take to dry, but I'm probably just going to leave it for about 24 hours anyway. So I'll set you aside. I really need to find a good spot where I won't accidentally knock it onto the floor or something. And now that's done, I need to wipe down my entire area because this shit is sticky and I got it everywhere. While that was an interesting saga, it wasn't completely over yet. We returned the next day to chat with our crochet competitor to hear her perspective on her performance and get her thoughts on the finished results. And my echidna is thoroughly dry because it's been a lot longer than 24 hours, but we're not going to talk about that. Instead, the first thing I want to do is get rid of these pins and just see how effective the spray actually was. I think I got all the pins. It's a bit hard to tell, but there we go. This spray actually worked pretty well. In fact, it might have worked too well because the spines are laying incredibly flat. I was hoping to keep just a little bit of that disheveled look, but no. In a surprising turn of events, something I tried actually worked out for once. Though I think the sacrifice you have to make for the spray working pretty well is that it makes your work kind of crunchy. It's not a fun sensation, or at least I don't enjoy touching that. So maybe if you're making a plushie that you intended to, I don't know, maybe give it to a kid, or I don't know, you intend to cuddle yourself, using this spray may not be the way to go. You might prefer to either sew or glue down your pieces. But for my purposes, and my purposes being this little guy's just going to be sitting on my amigurumi shelf, that works pretty well. I like those results. So there we go. I finished a WIP. Yes, this tiny project took me, was it like 18 months, 2 years, possibly even 3 years at this point, but it is now done. And you're actually rather cute. I like how these spines turned out. I'm still not thrilled with the lighter brown I used. I definitely should have gone with a different shade, but it doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look terrible. And I'll have a second crack at this anyway, because I will need to make a version for the written pattern, which will be available on Patreon. All right, now I can put you on the shelf with the other Australian animals I've made so far. We thank our crochet competitor for sharing her thoughts with us, but she wasn't the only competitor that we spoke to today. And today on the hookup, we are featuring the creator CloeyCrochets, and she says, I crochet and write patterns. I started crocheting in 2021 and have been hooked, haha, now I'm a committee genius, ever since. I just recently started taking commissions in my area, and I plan to open an Etsy or website by April. I just started posting YouTube videos recently and have fallen in love with the crochet community. If you would like to check them out for yourself, all of CloeyCrochets' links will be down in the description, and so is a link to a Google form if you would like to apply for the hookup for yourself. And that brings day 4 of the Crolympic Games to a close. Thank you all for watching. We hope you'll join us tomorrow for day 5, but this is Not Lee and Robo Raptor signing off. Goodbye and good night.